In this video, I sit down with pedal legend Tom Cram, and if you know that name, you know what you're in for. If he's new to you, you're about to get bombarded with lots of nerdy, geeky pedal talk that is going to make some of you very excited. Thanks to having this YouTube channel, I get to meet some really cool people, and normally I stay calm and collected and do my job. But honestly, I was really nervous meeting Tom because he's been a hero of mine for a very, very long time, and I dare say I wouldn't be here without him. So, enjoy Tom dropping some absolute nuggets of gold in this following interview.
Hello, it is now 2024, it's Saturday, and I am deeply excited to talk to Tom Cram from DOD, Digitech, and now 𝗏𝗏,
Yes.
for the rebirth of the two brands I just mentioned.
Yep. So in 2023, early 2023, 𝗏𝗏 somehow, we don't really know, somehow managed to convince Samsung to sell Digitech and DOD back to them. And after that sale went through, they immediately contacted 𝗬𝗢𝗪𝗪, who then contacted me and said, you know, 𝗏𝗏 bought Digitech and DOD and is interested in getting it back up and running again. And I basically said, so, you know, because I had a spiral going and my own thing. And I'm like, that's great, good for them, hooray. But he's no, he's like, they're really serious about this. And I'm like, you know, I'm sure they are. But then after a few weeks of talking back and forth, I realized that they were serious about it. And I talked to June Park, who is the head of 𝗏𝗏 right now, and I kind of had a heart-to-heart with him to find out where his head was at. So I wanted to make sure that. So my first thought was that they were going to buy the name, slap the name on a bunch of inferior stuff, and call it good. And I don't want to have anything to do with any of that. And I had a heart-to-heart with him. I just said, hey, look, you know what? I need to lay it on the table. You know, what are your intentions? And he says, I want it to be back like it used to be. I want it to be as big as it used to be. I want you to do what you want to do. And of course, how do you say no to that? That's how it's been.
Really?
Yeah.
So they've kept their promise. I mean, as a watcher of the products coming out, they seem the same.
Yeah, they are the same. We kept the same OEMs for the stuff that's OEM. You know, we have a new engineering team, but it's actually funny because it's a new engineering team for this iteration. But it's guys that are old Digitech and DOD engineers. You know, 𝗬𝗢𝗪𝗪 goes back with Digitech and DOD to the founding of Digitech, and then Roger Johnson, he's the what would you call it, the is it a frickin' frack? He's the frick to Jason Lamb's frack for all the FX series stuff. So these guys go way back, and then we're contracting out to former Digitech and DOD engineers in Silicon Valley, and so we've got when we said we'd get the band back together, we weren't screwing around. It really is. It's like all the old guys are all pitching in because they want to see it work.
Yeah, that's good, man.
And here's another part. Sorry to keep on going. Is so from it was about 2012, 2013 when I got put in charge of DOD. Digitech, but then when I resurrected DOD, I was like the one guy, and it was hell, to be honest. I put out a bunch of cool stuff, but the engineering was matrixed, and what that means is I didn't have an actual team that I could rely on. This time it's different. These guys are part of the same crew, and so I'm not in charge anymore. My vision helps fuel some of this stuff, but we're doing stuff democratically. I mean,
right.
we all get together, whoever has a cool idea, we chase it down, and whoever had the cool idea, they're the project manager. And
really? That's awesome.
It's rad.
That's great.
So not only is it a rebirth, but it's like a reimagination of what Digitech and DOD are.
That's a great way to run a company. I believe so. I'm not a business guy, but...
well, we'll find out, I guess,
yeah.
right?
True. Well, in my opinion, that sounds like a good idea. But we were talking earlier off camera about the pedals that I've owned over the past, and I finally got a 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏.
Oh, nice.
Just before, all the pedals ran out. And I bought a couple of whammies just in case, But in the past, I've got some of the Jason Lamb pedals. I've got the Corrosion, the 𝗏𝗏𝗪𝗏 virus that is as well.
Yep.
And a few others. I basically collect them, and whenever they come up, not on the American sites, but on a local classifieds, for me, Austria, I generally buy them.
That's awesome.
And DOD is so important to me that it goes back to my first ever pedal, which was the FX50B.
Yep.
Little yellow box.
Yep.
I got it for about £30. I didn't care what it did, to be honest, because it was like, I've seen people do those things with the switches, and
I want to be a part of that.
I don't know what that does, but I'm going to get it. And I got it, and I'm like, yeah. And a few weeks later, I got a Marshall Blues Breakers for £15.
You still have that?
New in the box.
That's awesome, man.
And I hated it because it didn't do anything. Because I'm like, I was then soft verse, loud chorus. You know, grunge was my thing.
The Pixies thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, that's not making any difference whatsoever. Obviously, I know different now, but I have a very nice Marshall Blues Breaker investment.
I have a similar story. So my first amp was, it's back when I played bass, 'cause that's my first instrument. It was a Fender Champ, and I thought it was terrible. Stupid old tubes, little T speaker. In other words, like what, like $5,000? I just swore, sorry.
That's okay. So good. That's the correct way. Any time to swear in this video, that was the correct way.
Oh, okay. But yeah, if I knew now, or knew then what I know now, that'd be a different story. Because I've gotten rid of so much gear. You know, I had a transition big muff that was it was in the green muff chassis, but it was painted black because there was a series of that like transition period. I had one of those. I hated it. Couldn't stand it. Traded it. I traded it for I think it was like a MXR D Plus or something like that. But yeah, that was really dumb. So
I made some dumb moves on my side. But so DOD goes all the way back, and
it's good.
It's dear to my heart. What I like about DOD in particular is it's a little quirky. It's a little bit left of the middle. And like you've got your standard pedals from companies like Boss and MXR and EHX, although EHX could be a little bit weird sometimes.
Yeah, they can get weird sometimes.
But DOD, you also do normal pedals, drives and fuzzes and things that are fairly mainstream, but you do things that are weirder and quirkier and a little funky.
Yep.
And that's what I like. That's me, you know, in a nutshell.
So I think that's all musicians, to tell you the truth. I mean, granted, there are guys who think of their pedals as just tools, you know, and I heard a chorus on a song, so I need a chorus. I don't care which one it is. It's just give me a chorus. And then there are other guys who think of it as effects pedals as contributing to their art, you know, contributing to their creativity. And so we view ourselves as being on that because we're all guitar players, and so we want our stuff to inspire you, but also make it so that it's part and parcel with what you're creating. So if you think about it that way, it's not just a tool. It can be just a tool, right? So
it's a creative palette.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of how we view stuff. I think we like to. We're all weird too. I mean, we're musicians, so you know when we think of. Honestly, to tell you the truth, when you see stuff where we're doing a theme of a knob called luster, we're not trying to be weird. We're like, well, it's not like it's like a tone control. It's really subtle. So how do we get across to people that it's a subtler tone control? But if we just call it tone, they'll be disappointed. It's something different. So if it's something different, it has to have a different name, right? So, and also the other thing I want to say is the names you see are the names that have been de-weirdified to the point where they actually make sense. Because the original designs on a lot of this stuff that no one will ever see, the names are far, far stranger. I promise.
I'd love to find out, but another day. Let's talk about Digitech for a while. I had this Strum, which I think is a great name for a pedal. And quite frankly, I bought it for a project that never happened. And then I was really low on cash and had to sell it. So I think this is an amazing pedal for a guitar or a musician that is alone. And that's what I like. You very clearly have Digitech and DOD. Or in England, we call it DOD.
DOD, yeah. And that's fine too, because the founder, David DiFrancesco, his initials are DOD. That's who it is. He calls it DOD.
Oh, so there we go then.
Yeah. So it's acceptable for both.
Well, I often get corrected in my comments section. So I shall refer them to this video.
We're not rigid about that at all.
I didn't think you would be. I just get the feeling that you're a bunch of music-loving people who hang out and go, I've got a cool idea. And it seems from talking to you so far that that's
exactly what happens. No.
So obviously there's been a little period where you've been switching over to Cortec and reimagining the brand, but what's coming next? I mean, you've done this one.
So this came out on Halloween just last year, so it's only a couple months old. And the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗪, it's designed for low output vehicles like single coils, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗪s, 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗪, gold foils, that kind of stuff. So I'm a big fan of those kinds of pickups. And one of the problems I found is if you run into a clean amp with a low output guitar, it's pretty bright, which that's kind of the cool thing about it. But then when you add a fuzz into it, it just sounds terrible. And so you need a fuzz that's tailored for that particular type of rig. And so that's what the 𝗬𝗏𝗏𝗪 is for. So for the guys who are running like a Telecaster into a Bandmaster or something like that, that can be pretty embarrassing. So this will marry pretty well with that. So anyway, to answer your question,
yeah, sure.
So the 2023 was the rebuilding phase. So for most of 2023, we were getting the stuff that had gone out of production, due to neglect, back into production. But we also were able to manage to release a pedal within that. It hasn't been a year yet, to tell you the truth. We got it done in like 9 months.
Seems like a lot longer.
Yeah, it seems longer, but it hasn't only been a year yet. We started Parch last year.
March. No, I did.
So I feel like we've done pretty okay, in less than a year. But during that period, we also have been doing development. But all of that stuff is teeing up for 2024, which is what we're in now. So 2024 is going to be awesome. It's going to be crazy. We're releasing a lot of pedals this year.
When can we expect to have to save some money up?
I would say within the next couple of months, we'll start teasing some stuff that's coming up. But we're planning on having, it'll be, I hate to divvy it up into quarters, but we'll have a pedal release at least every quarter.
Wow.
So it's going to be cool. So that's both DIGITech and DOD. So it's not just the DOD yet. We were able to do this one for DOD because, in analog designs, works a lot faster. But it's going to be great.
Regarding this, was the project started before you got back together?
Yep.
Was it like somewhere in a drawer or?
Yeah. So Parker and I fell. So after the Carcosa, well, I guess the best way to describe it is work on this actually began almost directly after the Carcosa was released. So all the way back then, because I knew I wanted to do another fuzz, but I didn't know what fuzz it was going to be. I'm not a fuzz nerd, so I need to search for what kind of inspires me. But I got enamored with there's a color sound fuzz that was made back in the 70s called the Fuzz Box. It was a one knob fuzz. And I had one. You got one of those?
I don't have any more. That's the thing that I've just remembered. I sold it for £5. Whereas again, was it $400 now? For
yeah, at least. I can't even buy one. I can't afford one. But I had to build it. Yeah, one knob fuzz. But I loved the texture of it. Yes, but I wanted to have more.
Right.
And so Parker and I started talking about what we could do to the color sound fuzz way back. It must have been 2016, 2017. And he actually built a prototype back then. And then the whole thing blew up because of the Samsung thing, so we put it on the shelf. And so when Cortec bought it, the very first thing I talked about, we're like, well, let's resurrect it. Let's get it going again. And I still had his prototype. And so we were able to start digging back into it again. So what we did is the original one knob, it didn't have a tone control, it didn't have a gain control. So the very first thing we did is that we added a gain control. Then once we added a gain control, we realized you have to have a tone control too. So that's the luster control. So it's a high cut, and you have a gain knob, and it cleans up like a fuzz face, but it's not a fuzz face topology. It's a color sound one knob fuzz kind of expanded.
Great.
So yeah.
And I guess finally, what I love about these is the price is always aimed at the working musician.
We try to.
Well, I say always. In my experience, I see prices and like, okay, that's a good price for a pedal. And it's not that worrying sort of $50. It's in that price range where I think if a musician needs that on their palette, as we were talking about, they could probably afford it. And I think you've done really well by keeping true to that.
Yeah, we tried to. It's since we're all working musicians, it's important for us to be able to afford our gear. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I guess before I'm a fuzz nerd, so I have really expensive fuzzes. I have really expensive guitars too. But you know, I remember what it was like when I was 19, 20, and buying a $100 fuzz pedal or a $100 chorus pedal like that was a big deal. So we're trying to keep it so it's affordable, and we want people to play our stuff.
Cool. Well, I started with DOD and I'm still playing DOD, and I look to the
You
future.
can say Dod. You can say it.
I've got used to it now.
No, don't you see?
I grew out of
It's
this.
become it's natural to say DOD now.
I don't live in the country I was born in anymore. I'm currently in the US, so I'm like, and also my brain.
When in Rome?
Yeah, when in Rome. When in Anaheim, I should also say DOD. No, it's just ingrained in there now. But I might throw a Dod in there now and again.
No, just for flavor.
I'll do it now. Dod.
You can say it too, folks. Dod. This is fine. It really is.
Nothing
doesn't make me cringe at all.
Nothing happened.
The lightning strike. The ghost of 𝗦𝗢𝗢𝗪 would get come to haunt. Just because he's not dead, he's still alive. So.
Oh, it's so dark. I love it. Maybe it will in review too.
Yeah, maybe.
All right, Tom. Thank you so much. Oh, we missed, but never mind. That's how fine I am.
It's good to actually finally meet you.
Thank you.
It's good talk, brother.
Good. I'm a massive fan, and I know you are watching this if you're watching this, because there's no other reason you watch this. So yeah. So to those hundreds of thousands of people, you're welcome. And there are other videos. Here's the YouTuber part. There you go.
Yep.
There are other videos, Tom, in the NAMM 2024 playlist.
So do you want them to crush that button or hit the bell?
What would Dod say? What if there was a Dod?
I always forget. What would you call it?
There was a knob for smashing the
smash the smasher.
Smash the smasher.
I don't know.
The smasher.
Oh, we're being kicked out.
No, the smasherizer.
This is being recorded, by the way. We're
being kicked out by the boss. Right. Smasherize the smasher.
Smasherize the smasher.
And come out and kiss
ding
the
dong bell.
Yeah. I'm going to see you sometime in the future with more Dod pedals and digger detector. Bye bye. Thank you.